What's up, BookTube? Sandy back here with February 2022 and what I'm planning on reading this month. Before I get started though, one of the things I'm going to tell you about my TBR is that it has a lot of books in it that I'm going to go through. Some of them I'm going to go through very quickly. I'm just going to talk about in the briefest of terms, and you can look it up and find out more about these particular books. The other thing I want to talk about before we get started is that I've broken these books into three different categories. One category is going to be Black historical fiction and nonfiction. Category 2 is going to be nonfiction, sort of contemporary, but historical as well. And the third is going to be fiction. So with that, let's go ahead and jump into it, shall we? So first up, I'm going to start with the historical fiction and nonfiction category that I have. And one of the authors I'm going to start with is an author that I've read in the past, but I have not been as diligent in reading currently or more recently. And so I want to get back into this author, and not just because February is Black History Month, but because this is such an incredible writer with incredible stories to tell, both fiction and nonfiction, that I think everybody would be wise to read more of James Baldwin. And so one of the books I'm going to read by James Baldwin is Nobody Knows My Name. This is a much older copy of the book that you see right here. And I'm really excited about this. Just to read a little bit from the back of the book here. James Baldwin's Nobody Knows My Name records the last months of the legendary American writer's 10-year self-exile in Europe. His return to America and Harlem. His first trip to the South at the time of the school integration battles. So you can see a lot of the stuff that's going to be going on in this book, and I'm definitely really excited to check that one out. Another one from James Baldwin is Going to Meet the Man. This is some short fiction by James Baldwin that I'm definitely looking forward to reading. And the third book I'm going to talk about is a book that recently has been redone into a film, and that is If Beale Street Could Talk. And this is a book, again, a story that has recently been remade into a film. I can't remember what network, maybe Showtime or HBO, something like that, that is showing on. But I have seen the trailer for the movie, and I don't want to watch it until I have read the book first. So that's pretty typical for me, is to make sure I read the book first before I really jump into any movie when I know that the book is already out there. Next up, I want to read from Richard Wright, and the first is going to be Black Boy. This is autobiographical. I'm definitely looking forward to reading this one. I've had this book in my collection for a long time, and I have neglected it for far too long, and I definitely want to jump into reading this, more about Richard Wright. Next up is Native Son, and this is a very important book, fiction book. It has to do with a black man who gets caught up in some difficult situations and ends up killing a white female. It's set in Chicago back in the day, and it talks a lot about issues that in many ways are still affecting people today. Poverty, for one, discrimination, and the reasons that those things can really impact people in ways that most of us can hardly even begin to fully comprehend. So looking forward to reading Native Son. Next up, I'm looking forward to reading The Souls of Black Folks by W.E.B. Du Bois, or Dubois, depends on where you come from and who probably first taught it to you as far as the pronunciation of the name. This is a series of important essays that focus on a variety of topics that he touches upon. So looking forward to reading this one. This one, again, is another one that's been in my collection for a long time, and I'm excited to really dive into this one. Next up is a book that takes me to my sports roots a little bit, and that is The Secret Game by Scott Ellsworth. And this has to do with the secret game between North Carolina College for Negroes and Duke University, who were crosstown schools during segregation, and they ended up playing this secret game that everybody has talked about, and nobody can it's not fully documented. It's not like there was somebody recording video and it was uploaded to YouTube. Obviously, this was a long time before YouTube, but it was it's a story that I've heard about many times. I've seen documentaries about it. I've seen movies about it, and I'm looking forward to actually reading this account of The Secret Game. Next up is contemporary fiction, and this is a book that I'm really excited to read. I pre-ordered this book. It has to do with the late great basketball star Kobe Bryant. It's called Kobe Bryant and the Pursuit of Immortality: The Rise by Mike Silsky, and here it is right here. And so I believe, if memory serves me correct, it focuses on more of the early years of Kobe Bryant and how he ascended to where he is right now. I'll read a little bit from the inside cover. The inside look at one of the most captivating and consequential figures in our culture with never before heard interviews. So yeah, just looking forward to seeing this one, reading this one about the late great Kobe Bryant. Next up is Good Girl Complex by L. Kennedy, and this one is described as a deliciously sexy story with a wallop of emotions that sneak up on you. It also says she does everything right, so what could go wrong? What could go wrong indeed? Next up is The Girl in the Headlines by Hannah Jane. This is a story about a girl who's accused of killing her family, except she doesn't really remember what happened. So that sets up for a very interesting story. Next up is For Your Own Good by Samantha Downing. This has, parents that are involved, overeager students who are doing all kinds of stuff, and an ambitious teacher looking for some recognition for himself. And things start to get out of control with a situation that happens that really just stirs the pot in ways that none of them could ever imagine. We'll see what happens. Next up is Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia. This is a book that I've had on my list for a while, and I do intend to get to it. I'm excited because I have another Silvia Moreno Garcia book that I want to get to. Next up is Time Will Tell by Barry Lyga. This book was appealing to me because it has to do with being back in the 1980s, a time capsule that was buried and discovered by kids, and the secrets that time capsule will open up. Next up is They'll Never Catch Us by Jessica Goodman. This is the one I'm currently reading right now as of early February, and I'm excited about this one. It has to do with sports. It's got cross-country runners. It's got two individuals, two sisters, who kind of have things set in a certain way, and then the new girl comes in, and the new girl ends up missing. So that kicks off quite a firestorm, as you might imagine. Next up is Vladimir by Julia May Jonas. This one has a lot of interesting elements, including motherhood, art, marriage, love, and temptation. Sounds very tempting. So there you have it. Way too many books for me to pick up and hold right here in front of you, but a lot of excitement for me going into February. I'm already started here. I don't know how many I'm going to read. I only got 5 read in the month of January, and I don't know, it was last year, I think typically was about 6 for me, so no way I'm going to get through all of those, but I'm certainly going to give it the old college try. If you've read any of these books, let me know in the comments section below, and maybe I will move those up in the reading order that I have right now, which is still kind of cloudy, so anything you can do to help me out, I would certainly appreciate it. With that, I'll see you next time. Peace.